I really needed this to happen. So we have a new Ferrari. Replacing the Ferrari Roma is the new Ferrari Amalfi. First of all, I love the name Amalfi Coast, one of my favorite spots in the entire world. It's such a beautiful place, and this is also such a beautiful car. Now, some might say that this is the same car as the Roma. Why didn't they just drop a brand new design, a brand new model? But no, 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 you're getting it all wrong here. The thing about the Roma is when we get a car design, styling like the Roma, we need to cherish that design and we need to keep it in production for as long as possible. Specifically in a world today where car design is getting lost and is turning into product design, consumer electronics. We're losing the emotional, beautiful, fluid lines of what pretty much every single car manufacturers used to have back in the day. Now there are only a few companies left making these type of designs. So when I saw this, I thought this is the perfect refresh of the Ferrari Roma. And honestly, when I compare, and we're going to compare the two here from a front side and rear, and also the interior with the Roma and the new Amalfi, and I'm not sure exactly which one I think is the most beautiful vehicle. I think they both are absolutely stunning, and of course they're going to drop a convertible version of this later on, which they always do with these type of vehicles. But what a design this is. I am in love with this car, and this is one of these. This is the Ferrari that I would personally buy. This is what I think Ferrari is, a supercar slash GT, which have two types of personalities. If you want to take it to the track, you could, but it's more tuned to cruising along the Amalfi Coast, for example. That is what this car is all about. And this design is definitely one of these designs that when you see, you make it, you're doing the environment around you a favor when you're driving this vehicle, because they get to appreciate this sculpture rolling by in motion and look at all the angles as it rolls by. It's a great looking design by the design team of Ferrari, and I am very, very happy to see that they did not ditch the original proportions and the styling of the Ferrari Roma. Before we jump into Photoshop here, there are a lot to talk about this design, specifically comparing it to the Ferrari Roma, of course. I want to hear your opinion. Do you think they should have dropped a brand new design and maybe make it into... I don't think it's ever going to happen with Ferrari. I can't see it happening, but turning it into more of a product design vibe for this? Absolutely not. This is a great refresh. So let's check out what's new when it comes to the spec and tech from this article from Car and Driver. I'm going to link it down below. 2027 Ferrari Amalfi replaces the Roma, but remains beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Ferrari's new coupe packs a 631 horsepower twin-turbo V8, 4 seats, and best of all, we even have the buttons, the physical buttons back on the steering wheel, and also a physical proper start button now, not these tactile whatever weird buttons that they used to have in the a few years back. So after a 5-year run, the Ferrari Roma is no more, replaced by the Amalfi. Here you can send the beautiful coupe to a claimed 199 miles per hour top speed. Pricing starts at around $283,000 and production begins early next year. So the company's recent front mid-engine V8 cars aren't supposed to be all-out track monsters. And their names says as much. You have the California, the Portofino as well, the Roma. So the 2027 Ferrari Amalfi fits right into this Dolce Vita mind space, especially when wearing its signature Verde Costiera paint, which looks gorgeous. And this is a new design feature that is not available on the Roma. They added a little bit of sharpness in this very smooth bodywork. You can see it right here. We're going to talk more about this, of course, in Photoshop. But I think this is a beautiful little touch up on the hood right there. So like the Roma before it, the Amalfi is front mid-engine, but now ekes out a bit of extra power from its twin-turbo charged 3.9-liter flat plane crank V8 that makes 631 horsepower, which is 19 horsepower more over the Roma. 0 to 60 is supposed to take about 3.2 seconds and top speed of 199 miles per hour. Now, in the interior, I think we're going to look at the interior and compare the two. They look very, very similar to the Roma, but there are some key changes that makes a whole world of difference in the interior. So you have a slab of anodized aluminum topping the center console and featuring a cutout for the rectangular key fob. There's a passenger side screen that offers a tachometer and controls for items such as seat heaters or massage functions. Now, Ferrari fans will be delighted when they see the steering wheel, which regains physical buttons. Great idea, of course. It's always a great idea to go back to physical buttons. There's just no way around it. I mean, every single change they make going from digital to physical, right now, as we're looking at car interiors in 2025, every single change going back to physical is going to be a good change. So you have the start button is now physical. Ferrari explained that when it went big on capacitive touch controls, first seen in the SF90, that move was made in the name of futurism. It's not always great. I mean, new is not always better. And the car interiors is such a good example of that. But Ferrari customers or clients in Ferrari lingo let them know that they wanted their buttons back, and Ferrari listened to them. Great that they're listening to their customers. I think a lot more car companies should do that as well. Now, you wouldn't call the Amalfi a family car, but you can fit adults in the back for short journeys. On the outside, the Amalfi remains the Roma's wheelbase and basic proportions. Great. I don't oppose that at all, which I've seen a lot of people doing, being almost mad at Ferrari for not dropping a brand new design. Why would you do that when you have one of the most beautiful GTs that's only been around for 5 years? Just update some key graphics and keep the original design and the proportions like we have here in the Amalfi. So you have no grille and the bodywork between the headlights blacked out to avoid the 2 eyes and a mouth visual. Now, this is something that we're going to have a look at in Photoshop in a minute, but the front end of the Roma, I think I prefer the front end of the Roma over this, because the front end of the Roma, it feels like it sits a little lower, and it also has this 2 eyes and a mouth design that I love to see from Ferrari. So looking at the wheels here, they appear solid from the front, but the back side of each wheel spoke is actually hollowed out, of course, saving weight. Also looks cool. The Amalfi's short rear deck lid conceals a motorized spoiler that operates in 3 positions: down for low drag, medium, and high for downforce. Now, in the last position, the spoiler makes 243 pounds of downforce at 155 miles per hour. It is fully automatic, so you cannot just go 30 through a school zone, acting cool, and pop up the rear spoiler. If you want to, it's going to pop up automatically at a certain speed. The pricing here is $283,000. Competitors are the Aston Martin Vanquish and sort of the Bentley Continental GT. Of these three, to me, for this price, I would 100% go for the Ferrari. It is by far the most beautiful of these, even though the Vanquish is very, very good looking as well. I would probably save some money and potentially go with the new Aston Martin Vantage instead of any of these three, because that car is one heck of a design. That is also art on wheels. Just a quick reminder that Analog Designer Pro Pack, thanks to the 100K subscribers here on the channel, I'm running a special promotion this month only. $29 for the full 11-hour course. This is an absolute steal, and I'm glad to see that a lot of you already took advantage of this deal these past couple of days, because I want to get more people back into analog sketching. I feel like we're losing that skill, and I don't want it to get lost. So if you're interested in this, go and check it out at analogdesignerpropack.com. I'm going to link it down below as well. So with that said, let's jump into Photoshop here, and let's have a look at this absolutely stunning piece of design, sculpture that we have going on with the new Amalfi. We have the Roma up top. I also wanted to throw in this image right here because I wanted to talk about the hood design here. But here, this is what I'm talking about. So look at the Roma here, how beautiful this is. and the eyeball feels extremely elegant, and how it flows into the bodywork here. I remember making an in-person review of the Roma when it first came out, and I was blown away by this design. We have a daytime run light right in the middle here as well, and the headlight design just feels organic. It doesn't feel any sort of static industrial feel in the headlight for the Roma. I love to see it. And we also have this line at the lower section, creating the top starting point for the grille in the lower section right here. And you can see the angle for this grille. It's angled downwards, so it sits a little bit downwards like this, creating a very nice design for it. And we have this lower lip, creating a beautiful base for the design of the Roma here in the front end, and these fluid motions going over the hood design. Extremely stunning, just elegant, graceful looking design. Now going into the Amalfi, the front end here, you can see that it looks very similar to the Roma, but the headlights got a lot smaller. We still have a daytime run light right here, as you can see. But comparing these two, I think the Roma actually has a lot more personality to it. It has a much more unique design to it. And this area right here, I definitely prefer it in the Roma, because you can see in the Amalfi, it got a lot more static. We have an almost sharp corner here, which I think is a little bit too sharp. I want to see it flow down, maybe something like this, and create a much subtler corner right there. And we also have this body colored piece in the lower section, which I do like. It sits all the way down here like an island by itself, does not have any connection to what's going on in the rest of the bodywork. But the overall styling for the front end, I feel like the graphic, specifically this line right here, it feels like it sits higher up in the front end and doesn't have this front-leaning, beautiful design and sharp nose that we have on the Roma. That is a little bit lost here in the Amalfi. But again, the graphics is just absolutely beautiful here. And we also have, of course, this black bar in the middle, removing the typical smiling grille that we used to have for pretty much every single Ferrari up until just a few years ago. That is now gone. And you could potentially mistake this to be an EV, because the only cooling looks like it is a battery cooling opening down here at the very low part of the front end. Let me know, look at these two, and let me know in the comments, which one do you prefer? Honestly, even though I love the new Amalfi design, I would most likely, if I were in the market for one of these, I would look for a slightly used Ferrari Roma, save some money, spec it out, change whatever I want to it to be exactly like I want it to look like. And I would probably go with the Roma still. But one cool detail that I love about this design is, look at the hood design of the Roma right here. We have almost like a muscle sticking out. So you can see it looks like it's organic. There is a piece of bone or skeleton structure underneath the hood right here on the Roma. But on the Amalfi, they switched it up. So now we have a bit more of a static feel for the center portion of the hood. You can see it right here. But I do think this is a cool idea, because everything else is so fluid on this design that adding a bit of sharpness to the hood lines adds some contrast to everything that is so smooth otherwise in the front end. But here you can also see this lip that we have in the lower section being body colored, and I do like that this lower lip actually sticks out pretty far in the front end, again creating this very nice base for the front end design. What a design this is. I cannot wait to see this in real life. It's going to be very, very interesting to walk around this vehicle. Now looking at the side view, and guess what? Ferrari, I don't think they have ever made a big deal of putting black wheels on their vehicles. And here, even with the Roma, you have 5-spoke designs for the wheels. You still have 5-spoke designs for the Amalfi right down here. And absolutely beautiful design for the wheel design. It still has a direction to it. You can see these pieces right here, creating some sort of almost turbine fan design for the wheels. But they're still, in essence, very simplistic 5-spoke designs for the Amalfi, similar to what we had in the Roma. And the proportions of the side view, I mean, look at this. If you were to sketch a front engine Super GT car, this is exactly what it would look like. You have a very long hood still on the Roma up here, going into a massive muscle over the rear axle, dipping down into this rear spoiler. And if we draw a line from the greenhouse right here, you can see that this A-pillar dips down, continue this line right into the center point of the front axle. The proportions of this, it just, in my opinion, it just does not get better than what we have in the Roma. And thankfully, they did not change up anything about the proportions. I did not want them to do that either. I think this new one, we have a new type of styling for the side. This area right here, you can see that we have a subtle line going like this, creating almost like an arrow design in the side view, something we did not have in the Roma. The Roma was completely clean and subtle in this design right here in the bodywork, but now we have some more sculptures in this area. We still have, of course, the massive muscle over the rear axle and this shoulder line shooting down, dipping down into the very sharp front end design. Looking absolutely stunning. Greenhouse again, drawing out the greenhouse right here. You can see that it does dip, in fact, down all the way to, if we go from the A-pillar into the center point of the front end axle. We also have this lower section, carving out a little bit of the volume in the lower section with this black side skirt right here to remove some of the mass, and a massive diffuser in the rear end. And you can see the sharpness here in side view of this corner, how much sharper this feels compared to the Roma, which has a much more organic design for this piece. And that is the reason why I personally think I still prefer the front end of the Roma compared to the front end of the Amalfi, even though, again, both are very, very beautiful designs. Now, looking at the rear end, we get a lot more simplicity here as well, comparing it to the Roma, as you can see. Now, this I'm not entirely sure which one I prefer. I still think the Roma maybe has a little bit more interesting details, and one detail about the Roma that I've always loved is this chamfer that goes underneath the headlight unit and creating almost like a bumper right here, separating the top half graphics from the massive diffuser down low. You can see how far up the diffuser goes up as well, looking very beautiful. Quad exhaust pipes, bazooka tailpipes right here like we want in the Ferrari. And we also have this line up top that houses inside of the bodywork. You have the key graphics in the back, which is going to be the taillight unit, sitting very nicely sculpted into the metal. It's part of the flow of the bodywork itself. One of the coolest, one of the most beautiful looking GT cars from Ferrari. Now looking at the new one, of course, it got a lot more simple. We don't have this chamfer anymore, and instead we have a big, almost like a wall, very simplistic design for the Amalfi. But thankfully, we still have the same type of styling for the taillight unit. Two light elements, classic Ferrari design. And you can see the spoiler here that goes up, generating this downforce at 155 miles per hour. And the change to the diffuser itself, you can see that we had an angle here for the diffuser in the Roma. It goes outwards and upwards. Now everything is horizontal, so it creates a little bit more of a stately design for the rear end, I would say. Again, I'm not sure which one I prefer. I do think the Roma, again, feels more organic and has more details that feels more interesting to just analyze than the Amalfi. But again, this is still a very beautiful looking design, and I do like the rear end here, how it's just cut off abruptly and going into this top line right here that creates the spoiler up top. Now these wheel designs, again, I'm very happy to see that we're hopefully going back to maybe not just slapping black wheels on every single new vehicle that comes out. We still have, thankfully, the quad exhaust pipes here as well, looking stunning. Now, last but not least, this interior. So let's check this out. We have the Roma up top, we have the Amalfi down low, and thankfully this button right here, this tactile that you can't really press it, just press your thumb on it. I was never a fan of those type of buttons, so thankfully now we have a proper red start button right there, and buttons, proper buttons on the steering wheel as well. We have a new design for the integration of the infotainment screen, which I prefer over the Roma design, which sits right in the middle here and sticks up pretty far up on the dash. And this system was never really very, intuitive to use, so I hope they updated the software for the Amalfi as well. I remember this being very tricky and didn't really do what I wanted it to do when I was reviewing this vehicle. We still have the gear selector in the middle, as you can see right here, this being an automatic, of course, and you have the passenger screen on the side with the revs and also the seat controls. You can see the seat controls here on the sides and also the temp control, of course. Overall, very beautiful styling for the interior because we do have a clear housing. I mean, this is exactly what I want to see, a separation for the gauge cluster, because the gauge cluster is supposed to be the driver information that is the most crucial, essential information when you're driving, specifically a Ferrari. You don't want to have it in connection with anything redundant such as seat controls, any AC controls. We don't care about that when we're in a Ferrari. We want to see the tachometer, and that is, as you can see, the big gauge that we have right front and center in front of the driver. So overall, a fantastic job by Ferrari. And as I said, this is a vehicle that I didn't want to see them just move away from the Roma design just after 5 years, because we need to hold on to those type of designs today. When we get a design like the Roma, it's not going to come around very often these days when we have boxes and consumer electronics on wheels. So I'm happy to see this result, and I cannot wait to hopefully get to review this in real life.